Fintech Chatter, brought to you by Tier 1 People, leaders in Fintech executive search. Hello and welcome to Fintech Chatter Shorts, a new format where I bring you good news and positive updates from the Tier 1 People network. I'm Dexter Cousins, and today I'm bringing some good news from our friends at Revolut. But before our main guest joins me, I just want to say thanks for listening, and if you're new to the show, to make sure to follow us on your podcast player and check out our YouTube channel, Fintech Chatter TV. And if you really want to show your support and spread positive fintech vibes, give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you're coming back, thanks so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. Well, joining me now is Charlie Short, and he's the head of growth for APAC for Revolut. Charlie, welcome and making your Fintech Chatter debut.
Thanks for having me, Dexter. Excited to be here.
It's great to have you with us. And look, certainly in the circumstances as well, with some big news that you announced this week. Do you want to share with our listeners a little bit about what's been happening at Revolut here down under?
Yeah, for sure. Well, really happy to announce that we have finally officially launched Revolut in New Zealand, which we're incredibly excited about. It's been a long time coming for the team.
Yeah.
But I think there's no better time than now that we've launched in New Zealand, particularly around some of the recent inquiries into, how banks are turning such huge profits. And I think there's just a general sort of unfairness when it comes to kind of innovation in New Zealand. So I think timing couldn't have been better. So we're really excited.
Well, if he's listening, my old buddy, Will Heap, I think will be absolutely delighted to hear that you've launched in NZ as a Kiwi himself. And, the kind of first boots on the ground here in Oz back in 2018. I know speaking to him, it was his kind of big ambition to see Revolut in NZ. And, kind of 5 years later, here we are. It's been, as you said, Charlie, a bit of a journey to get there. And, if I kind of cast my mind back, to helping Revolut, when we Matt joined, I think he joined in a month later, the whole world went into lockdown. What's that journey been like of launching a business during COVID, and how is kind of Revolut, seeing business go post COVID as well?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question. I think we definitely did see, looking at Australia over kind of the entire sort of COVID period and beyond, we saw some pretty big changes in terms of consumer behavior on our side. And obviously when, we went into kind of lockdown period as it relates to travel, we saw some really interesting things. For example, increase in activity and engagement across other product offerings that we have. For example, we saw a big spike in crypto and trading. So it was really interesting to kind of see that behavior change over the entire sort of COVID period and beyond. I think for New Zealand, yes, we've been working on this for a long time. And, some of the team, some of the OGs would feel like they've been working on this for, 10 years.
Yeah.
But I really think that
it is 10 years in corporate years. Right?
Yeah, that's it. But I think the timing really couldn't have been better. I think given there's so much focus at the moment in New Zealand around kind of inquiries into banking and, the huge profits that they're turning, as well as all the pressures that consumers are feeling in real life from the cost of living. I feel like, it's such a great time for us to be in market. So in some sense, taking our time and getting things right was the right decision to make, because here we are today and we're bringing a product into market which has a really strong, product market fit, and it's really solving some big problems for consumers.
Now, if I go back, to 2018, at the time here in Oz, we had kind of the neobank craze. Everybody was talking about it. People questioned the model. People questioned Revolut. And we've seen the business just go from strength to strength. I think when I first started working with you guys, you were less than 3 million customers.
Yeah.
Now it's what, 26, 27. It's just phenomenal growth. But what kind of growth have you seen in APAC, and how have you kind of tweaked the Revolut model to be successful here in Oz?
Yeah, so I think, to your point, we have seen a lot of sort of neobanks exit the market, and I think part of the problem is that obviously it's a really difficult industry to work in, and I think one of the things that we have going for us as a global company is that we have that global backing. So as you mentioned, we already have, 30 million customers globally.
It's 30 million now.
30 million. 400
well,
million.
last time I checked, it was only a few weeks back, and I'm sure it was 26 or 27.
Yeah, exactly. And 400 million transactions a month. We're live in 40 markets. We've got a 6,000 person organization. So we have an incredibly strong backing, which is basically going to set us up for success in pretty much any kind of expansion region we launch into. And, off the back of that, we have really strong kind of playbooks and learnings and frameworks as to how to sort of continue to launch Revolut in a sort of profitable and efficient way across really any market globally. So I think, that's definitely one of our strengths, is the fact that we've got kind of this global backing from the rest of the business. And in terms of how we're going across APAC, I think there's a lot of really exciting stuff coming up. So starting with Australia, we've been in market now for about 3 years. And we have recently crossed the 300,000 sign-up number in Australia, which is really exciting. And I think if we look at kind of how we're going sort of year over year in terms of growth, we're growing our customer base at almost 200%. So things are really starting to catch on in Australia.
Yeah.
But we are, taking our time in terms of how we sort of bring Revolut to market in Australia. As a product-led organization, we want to make sure that we are delivering best-in-class products that are fit for purpose. And that are really solving real customer problems and customer needs. So in terms of kind of our growth strategy or our marketing strategy, we take it slow and we make sure that we are delivering the best possible products, so we have the strongest position. And then we have Singapore as well, which is doing incredibly well. Similar size population to New Zealand, but it is really taking off, and Singapore is actually growing at a similar rate to Australia, which is hugely exciting. We're also live in Japan. That's been a bit of a slow journey, given the conservative nature of kind of the financial regulator over there. But we're slowly starting to get to the point now where we're starting to invest more in growth and marketing, which is hugely exciting. And probably another exciting thing on the horizon is the launch of India, which is, a hugely interesting market, obviously a massive population and a whole set of different pain points. So that's kind of next on the cards in terms of our APAC expansion.
And obviously the kind of, the legacy product, I guess the flagship product of Revolut has always been the travel kind of card and the interchange fees. Have you seen that kind of resurgence in travel and the world opening up again be the kind of catalyst for, the growth in numbers? Or are you seeing people using Revolut for a lot more than just the travel? And I kind of cast my mind back to the end of 2019, just before COVID, and I was in Barcelona and I was using my Revolut card. And I had they were saying, another one. It was like everybody had a Revolut card in Barcelona, and it kind of just seemed like it was poised to absolutely go nuts. And then obviously the whole world kind of went into lockdown.
Yeah, absolutely. We have seen sort of international travel and also international spend bounce back in a huge way. Mainly across Australia and Singapore, where there is a lot of travel happening regularly. There's kind of big communities of expats across both regions. So we have definitely seen a huge increase in international spend for sure, as well as a big increase in currency exchange. I think what is really interesting to see across both markets, which I think is getting us really excited, and it's kind of, linked to our North Star, is, how do we encourage users to think of Revolut as sort of a product that they use every day for everyday spend. And as we kind of increase growth across both regions, we're seeing also huge increases in domestic spending, which I think is really exciting. And as we kind of continue to ship more and more products that users can consume at a local level, we're seeing that kind of domestic spend increase pretty significantly every quarter. So we're slowly starting to get to the point now whereby people are seeing the value of Revolut just beyond the sort of travel and currency proposition, which is hugely exciting.
Yeah, Australia has got I think a disproportionate amount compared to other regions and countries of sole traders, small businesses. When can we expect to see the Revolut Business product hit us?
So we just actually recently launched that, Dexter, in Australia, and we had an amazing response. We did a big push through the media of the official launch, and we have had, I think, almost 50 small businesses sign up to the current product offering that we have, which is really exciting. We've got a lot more coming in terms of product for businesses. What we're trying to achieve in the quickest possible amount of time is getting kind of product parity with the UK when it comes to business.
Yeah.
We're also going to be looking to recruit sales teams to help us grow the product, as well as, again, like I mentioned, deliver a whole heap of new product offerings that is really going to help small businesses grow. So that's another area of the business, a whole new kind of vertical for us that is also starting to take off in a big way, which is exciting.
Now, one of the, I guess, common secrets or, kind of things that we hear about startup success is that you focus on one thing. That's something you could never, ever claim Revolut of being guilty of, right? Like, as you mentioned, a really broad product suite. What is it that you would love, and the business would love Revolut to be known for here in Oz? Because it's a really saturated market. We've got hundreds, if not thousands, of banks. When you can kind of consider small credit unions, etc. And it's highly competitive. Where do you see kind of Revolut sitting in that, and what is it you want to be known for?
Yeah, so I think if you just kind of think about kind of our sort of brand promise around sort of one up all things money, I think that's our kind of ultimate North Star. We want to be able to provide consumers with a kind of one-stop shop when it comes to all things money. And that's really what we're kind of working towards. And, at the same time, as offering, a full suite of products, we want to be able to provide consumers with the best possible value as well. So, cutting out all the sort of traditional fees that you would be used to seeing with your traditional bank, creating an overall fairer, more transparent experience. That's really kind of the goal for us.
Yeah.
And I think, we're kind of well on track when it comes to kind of fulfilling that purpose. We've got, a while to go. We've got, the whole credit side of the product coming up early next year, where we'll be launching into credit products, which is exciting. It's really just, it's fulfilling that purpose around just having a one-stop shop to manage all things related to money in a fair and transparent way. That's the goal.
Yeah. What's been really fascinating to see here, certainly here with the Oz business, is Revolut's kind of reputation, and one of its strengths is to be able to move at speed and execute with precision. And it's been really, I've been really quite taken aback, in a positive way, as to the real methodical approach that they've taken to Australia. And it's like I think one of the first things that anybody would say to anybody moving, looking to launch a business here in Oz, is that look, it's competitive, it's tough, there's nuances, there are challenges, right? And you can't just expect to rock up and wait. The business is just going to come to you. You've got to really be kind of structured and methodical and have a clear strategy. What do you see as success looking for, or looking like here in APAC? And what's the kind of end game?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think just sort of answering to your initial observation, Revolut absolutely does operate like that as an organization, in the sense that, I mentioned before that Revolut is truly a product-led organization, which really ultimately means that, we're thinking about the customer first. We're putting the customer first before anything else, and as a result of that, as I mentioned earlier, it's really important for us that we are taking a very considered approach as to how we launch and continue to launch new products in different markets. We take the time to understand, what is it that consumers are looking for?
Yeah.
What are the gaps that we're trying to solve for? What are the challenges that people are facing across each market? And we take a very considered approach as to how we solve that. So we really create our roadmaps and our plans exactly around that. And, we continue to listen to the voice of the customer to understand, what we need to do. So ultimately, that's kind of what guides and directs us through all the decisions we make. Is, again, what are the needs that we're trying to solve for the consumer? So, ultimately, that's our goal across, any market is, how do we solve those problems, and how do we, localize the product in a way that, resonates with, local audiences, local markets. We've got a huge menu of product in Europe, but that doesn't mean that we're going to launch all of that straight away in every expansion market. We take, again, a considered approach as to what, people want to see when it comes to money.
Yeah. You make it sound so simple, Charlie, and yet, what we have seen certainly in this last 12 months is a number of international businesses who have launched in the last few years decided to withdraw from Australia. What's your kind of commitment to the region, and why?
Yeah. I think definitely, again, sort of linking back to, what is our purpose and mission. And it really is to provide consumers with that really seamless, transparent experience when it comes to, all things money. And that really is kind of our promise. That's our commitment, that, we are going to continue to, put the customer first, and deliver products and services that are genuinely benefiting customers for the right reasons. And we're not charging exorbitant fees that, people would be used to seeing through their bank. In fact, one of our sort of guiding principles as an organization is to minimize the cost for the customer as kind of the first base. And we continue to kind of optimize around that, continue to sort of challenge ourselves around, how do we deliver the best possible value that we can to our customers? And yeah, that's ultimately what's guiding us.
Yeah. When I look across the fintech kind of ecosystem and I include everybody in this, I think, we've tried to develop this narrative over the last, 5, 6, 7 years around Australia being this kind of launch pad for Asia Pacific, where companies can innovate, and be kind of protected that if it doesn't quite work out, nobody's going to know about it, but it's a great place to try and experiment. Given that, Revolut is one of the true innovators in this space and loves to experiment, are we going to see a day where new products are going to be trialed first in Australia and then shipped out to the rest of the world?
Yeah, great question. I mean, so when I think about kind of sort of expansion markets at Revolut, which covers, a lot of different regions outside of APAC as well, including Americas, Australia is very much on the front foot. So we learn an awful lot in Australia, and those learnings we take into other regions, both in Asia Pacific and in Americas. So Australia is definitely sort of ahead of the charge when it comes to kind of how things are going across expansion markets. And we are very much sort of prioritizing Australia when it comes to kind of shipping and delivering products first. So in some sense, Australia definitely is kind of that testing ground for us when it comes to expansion markets. So, that's another great thing that we have going for us, is that we can get access to some of these new products and features first before any other expansion market.
Awesome. Well, Charlie, it's been fantastic to chat with you. Congrats to everybody on the team. Amazing to see you just kicking on. And look, as a heavy user of the app, my kids have got Revolut accounts as well. It's great to just see new features kind of coming up, and it becoming that kind of vision of the super app and the one-stop shop.
Awesome. Thanks, Dexter.
Well, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. As always, you can connect with me, Dexter Cousins, on LinkedIn and Twitter. If you're looking to hire Tier 1 people, you can reach out to me on those platforms or check out tier1people.com/contact. Alternatively, if you are on the market looking for a job, make sure to follow me on LinkedIn, where each day I'll be posting job hunting tips, and you'll also see us mention any opportunities that we're working on. Until the next episode, keep safe. Fintech Chatter is produced by Tier 1 People, leaders in fintech executive search. We'll find world-class leadership talent to build world-class fintech ventures. And you can find us at tier1people.com.